Hey, Pastor, let me ask you something. How many guests has your church quietly lost because your website didn't reflect who you are? It's painful, but it's true. Most church websites aren't helping, they're actually hurting. In fact, study shows 60% of new visitors will check your site before visiting in person. You only have 7 seconds to convince them to stay. And yet, most church websites are outdated, confusing, or designed for members, not guests. If you've been wondering why your church isn't growing like it should, this might be the invisible barrier holding you back. But there's good news. This summer is your opportunity to fix it fast before the fall momentum kicks in. We call it the next level effect because when you upgrade your website with the right foundation, you don't just get a new design, you get more guests planning their visit, more clarity in your messaging, more people stepping into discipleship. And it all comes down to these three pillars. Number one, epic church branding. We don't start with colors, we start with clarity. Epic stands for existence. Why does your church exist? Purpose, what transformation you offer. Identity, what makes you emotionally distinct, and your color palettes, your logos, your actual fonts, etc., etc. And then connection, what voice do you speak in? When guests land on your homepage and instantly feel like this might be their place, that's when engagement starts. So we want to have a document that has all of these elements there for your use, because again, the website is not really just there to look really nice. It's there to serve a purpose. And we have to build with the right foundation. And that's why the Epic Brand Guide is where we begin. So even if you want a brand new logo or anything along those lines, we deal with that in this step. That's where we're able to get everything together and really give you a purpose and something that's going to give you the foundation to be successful with your website. The next step is, or the next pillar rather, is the ideal disciple discovery process. You can't design for everyone. You have to design for your ideal disciple. Here's our 4-step process. Number one, run a know your community demographic report for everywhere between a 15-mile radius. We use the Know Your Community report from Church Answers to do this. Number two, you build a disciple avatar, age, stage, fears, beliefs. You want to build out an avatar for your ideal disciple. Number three, create a discipleship journey map from interest to decision. And then number four, confirm it with a secret guest experience. This isn't theory, it's strategy. And it directly shapes how your site speaks to guests. So, and before we go any further, I want to give you a cause and just something to think about before we go further into our process. Everything that I've mentioned to this point, we basically take care of 90% of it before we even hop on a call with you. We have our tools that we utilize, so you don't have to worry about figuring a lot of this stuff out. We do a very, very comprehensive draft that we present to you, and then we just work on tweaks. But usually our draft gets the job done at least 90% of the way. So you don't have to worry about it, but these are just things that we put together on our end. So we make sure when we're designing your site that we have all of the right pieces in place. The number 3 pillar is the StoryBrand message framework. Design attracts, but words convert. And that's what we build every homepage using the StoryBrand method. Clear visitor first headline, one-liner that sticks, call to actions that move people forward, language that makes guests feel seen, not sold to. I want you to look at a site that we recently did to see the before and after. It's True Bread Worship Center. I want you to look at what their site looked like before we started working with them and what it ended up looking like afterwards. And the after effect is the exact thing that we see when we put this process together. That's what we're going to end up doing for every site that we do, but we have to go through our process in order to get to that phase. So all of these things bring together an amazing website that can show you and really display to your community the type of church that you want them to see. So if you notice before on their website, it was hard to navigate, no guest path, and no call to action. But afterwards, you have a mobile friendly plan your visit flow and prayer request page embedded with sermons. So the pastor actually told us our website finally feels like our church, and they're seeing results all over the place because of what they were able to put together. So if you want to get started today, I put in the description a free checklist, 5 things to do to your website this summer to be ready for the fall. That's something that you can get in your hands right away. But also, if you're wanting to really take the next step and get this done for your site, I want to invite you to set up a call with me where we can discuss what your needs are and how we can help. But before I jump off today, I want to show you these documents, what it looks like for an actual church, and I want you to hear from some of the pastors and people who have done our process so you can see that this isn't just me saying something about it. These are real results that pastors and church leaders are getting. So I'm going to take you over to the actual document that we end up filling out for one of our clients, and I want you to hear from other clients that have gone through this process and see the results that they've been able to get. All right. So as I mentioned in the previous video, I wanted to show you the process that we go through with our churches and our clients to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like when we actually go through this entire process. So this is what we call the next level foundational marketing copy. And as you can see here, we did this for an actual church and where we actually answered many of these questions that that a person would want to know for if they were to visit this church. So you can see we did the epic framework, why your church exists, purpose. So we go through purpose statement, vision statement, mission statement, and the core values. We go through the identity, and while this is more of the written version, this doesn't show the actual logos, colors, typography, but you can see we identified and we defined each of those elements for them, and then the connection, the voice attributions. We get this written in a clear document so that way they can utilize it. And then going into the demographic report for them to use, you can see the various phases for that. So we go through their ideal disciple. We go through the 4 phases that they would need to go to reach them, whether it is awareness, interest, desire, and engagement. And then we define each of those elements. And then we go into the brand script where we define every area and we actually created copy for them to use when we're putting together the website. And then ultimately we define and created the copy for the actual website wireframe. And this is very in depth, and this is very like a clear process, but it's just to show you the level of detail that we go into when building out our websites. We don't just simply build out our websites to look pretty, but we build them to be effective. Now, while our designs are high quality, we also put a lot of detail into them being strategic in terms of who they're targeting and how we're communicating on them. And that's why we go through much of this detail with our clients. And then your next slide, you're going to see what other pastors and leaders had to say after working with us.
is kind of, I mean, impressive. This is
This
just, we're
impressed. We're
speechless.
just
That's why we're
speechless
not saying a lot because we're
because
so
no,
speechless.
this was an answered prayer.
Yes.
This is mapping that we needed. We've done spiritual mapping, but to get into the intricate details associated with the neighborhood, this was a missing piece, and we thank God for you.
Yes,
So we really do.
absolutely.
This
Thank
was
you.
definitely needed, so we'll know when what we're working with. You know, and people don't even realize too. Even salaries are very important because that tells you engages how much people can really give, and you know what they can be able to
Yes.
do. And a lot of people don't even consider that you can actually put so much on a congregation that they can't even be able to, you know, meet those needs, even for planning and especially even doing in regards to campaigns and what the church wants to do to come. All of that's important.
It is.
All of it. And so, no, we don't see it as secret sensitive. It lets us know that we still have our mandate and where we're going, but we can pinpoint and curtail, know how to navigate those waters. So this is awesome.
I can't wait to see it like in full, like,
yeah,
you
this
know,
is gonna be. We're gonna use this, and we're gonna be recommending
I was
other
just gonna
pastors to
say
you
that.
as well.
I was just gonna say that, like,
I'm talking Bishop Matthews.
yeah, we are. Yeah, we're gonna get you out there because this is huge.
This is huge.
When I think about next level marketing, the first thing that comes to mind for me is that they got it right. And what I mean by that is that they got their name right. It really is an organization that will take your business to the next level.
Packaging, social media platforms, and so forth. And just right from the get-go, this guy had answers that I didn't even have questions for. It was just like, he knows how to deal with pastors. He's a young man full of the Word, full of the Holy Spirit, and full of joy. And best of all, he understands pastors.
Church go to that next level. They are very professional, very thorough, and take care of the customer needs.